On the morning of August 10th in Seoul, Lee Min-ho needed only a white suit to once again become the center of attention. It was not because the actor had suddenly turned back the clock, nor because he was desperately trying to recreate the image of the Lee Min-ho fans knew in his 20s. What made his appearance noteworthy was something far more subtle. After periods when his visual condition became a topic of debate, Lee Min-ho seemed to have rediscovered the version of himself that suits him best. On social media, fans jokingly said that he had found the instruction manual for his looks again. It sounds like nothing more than a playful comment, but it actually captures quite well how the public is beginning to view Lee Min-ho at 39. It is not about looking younger, it is about rediscovering his charisma. At the assassination premiere event in Seoul, Lee Min-ho opted for a relatively minimalist white suit. He did not rely on excessive accessories or complicated poses, yet the actor immediately commanded the cameras. The white ensemble emphasized his tall, lean frame while bringing back the image of the Prince Charming that had once become one of Lee Min-ho's trademarks. But if people focus only on his physical appearance, they may miss the most interesting aspect of this particular appearance. The Lee Min-ho of 2026 clearly no longer possesses exactly the same sharp features he had when playing Goo Jun Pyo or Kim Tan. There are visible signs of age, and his facial features are no longer identical to those of his peak years in idol dramas. Yet that is precisely what makes this appearance so interesting. Because the appeal of a 39-year-old star does not necessarily have to be measured by whether he can convince people that he is still 25. What matters more is whether he can still make people want to look. And in Seoul on the morning of August 10th, the answer appeared to be yes. What does finding the instruction manual for his looks really mean? Over the past few years, Lee Min-ho's appearance has repeatedly become a topic of discussion. Some public appearances left viewers feeling that he looked heavier, less energetic, or simply had not found the best way to highlight his natural strengths. That is particularly notable for an actor who once possessed one of the most recognizable male visuals in K-drama history. When an ordinary person changes with age, it is simply a natural part of life. But for a star whose career has been built partly around his image, every noticeable change in his face can become a subject of public discussion. Lee Min-ho once represented a very clearly defined ideal of masculine beauty: tall, fair, sharp-featured, cool-eyed, well-proportioned, and particularly suited to luxurious suits. So when his appearance changed, audiences immediately noticed. This time, however, the feeling was different. His face appeared more balanced. His hairstyle, clothing, camera angles, and expressions seemed to work together to highlight his natural strengths. His overall presence also appeared more relaxed rather than attempting to recreate the cold, wealthy heir persona of more than a decade ago. That is why the phrase, "he found the instruction manual for his looks again," is more meaningful than it initially sounds. It does not simply mean that Lee Min-ho is handsome again. It can be interpreted in a more interesting way: he appears to have figured out how to make his current appearance work with the person he is today. And that may be the most important point of all. From Goo Jun Pyo to the Lee Min-ho of 2026. To understand why a single white suit could generate such a strong reaction, it is necessary to go back to 2009. Boys Over Flowers transformed Lee Min-ho into a phenomenon. Goo Jun Pyo, arrogant, domineering, wealthy, yet deeply devoted, became one of the defining male characters of an entire generation of Asian viewers. The curly hair, school uniform, expensive suits, and cold stare quickly became inseparable from Lee Min-ho's image. Goo Jun Pyo's success was not simply about acting. It came from a rare combination of character and actor. Lee Min-ho looked as though a character from a manhwa had stepped directly into the real world. Then came City Hunter, followed by the Heirs in 2013. If Goo Jun Pyo placed Lee Min-ho firmly on the Hallyu map, Kim Tan strengthened his position as one of the definitive rich heir icons of K-drama. Kim Tan was once again wealthy, handsome, powerful, and at the center of a sweeping romance. The formula was familiar, but Lee Min-ho had a rare ability to make it convincing. That is why his image became so closely associated with a particular era of Korean drama, an era when a handsome young man stepping out of a luxury car in a tailored suit could instantly turn the screen into a modern fairy tale. but Lee Min-ho did not want to remain the rich heir. One of the most interesting aspects of Lee Min-ho's career is that he did not remain completely satisfied with the shadow created by his own success. After becoming a major star, he explored more complex and rough-edged characters. Gangnam Blues was one example of his attempt to move beyond the polished romantic lead image. The Legend of the Blue Sea and the King, Eternal Monarch later demonstrated that he could still command romantic, fantasy-driven and powerful characters. But an even more significant shift came with Pachinko. This was no longer a project built simply around the familiar formula of a handsome Korean drama male lead. Its international scale and distinctive storytelling introduced Lee Min-ho to audiences through a very different lens. More importantly, it allowed viewers to see him as something beyond a beautiful face chosen to play wealthy heirs. Lee Min-ho was becoming an actor determined to expand the boundaries of his own identity. From visual to Hallyu icon. If Lee Min-ho were simply a handsome actor, it would be difficult to explain why his influence has endured for more than 15 years after Boys Over Flowers. Some stars rise rapidly and disappear from the public imagination just as quickly. Lee Min-ho has been different. He emerged at a particularly important moment in the development of Hallyu. Boys Over Flowers spread throughout Asia at a time when the internet and social media were making it increasingly easy for Korean popular culture to cross borders. Then YouTube, Netflix, and global streaming platforms fundamentally changed how international audiences consumed Korean entertainment. Lee Min-ho has essentially traveled through every stage of that transformation. From a young male lead adored by audiences across Asia, he gradually became one of the representatives of the first generation of Korean stars capable of creating an impact far beyond their domestic market. According to information cited in the original report, Lee Min-ho became the first Korean celebrity to appear on China's CCTV New Year's Gala in 2014. The 2025 Global Hallyu Survey, based on 2024 data, also reportedly recognized him as the world's most favored Korean actor for the 12th consecutive year. Those achievements point to something important. Visuals may change, but symbolic value is much harder to erase. At 39, Lee Min-ho faces the hardest challenge for a Prince Charming. Perhaps this is the most meaningful story behind those August 10th photographs. Lee Min-ho has reached the stage that every star whose brand was partly built on physical appearance eventually has to confront. How do you mature without losing the appeal that made you famous in the first place? If a star tries too hard to look young, the result can appear unnatural. If they completely abandon their image, they risk losing one of the most valuable elements of their brand. Lee Min-ho appears to be standing somewhere between those two extremes. He no longer needs to prove that he is Goo Jun Pyo. He does not need to become Kim Tan all over again. Instead, what is more compelling is the image of a mature Lee Min-ho, still tall, still elegant, still possessing the aura of a leading man, but no longer trying to hide the passage of time. Perhaps that is exactly why the white suit on August 10th created such a strong reaction. It was not a time machine transporting Lee Min-ho back to 2009. It felt more like a statement that a top star can grow older without losing his appeal, as long as he knows how to let maturity become part of his brand. Has Lee Min-ho found a new instruction manual? Fans can continue joking that Lee Min-ho has rediscovered the instruction manual for his looks. But viewed from a broader perspective, perhaps he never truly lost it. What changed was not necessarily his charisma, but the way the public uses different standards to judge a man who has reached 39. In 2009, Lee Min-ho was adored because he looked like a character who had stepped straight out of a comic book. In 2026, his appeal may lie in the fact that he no longer needs to look like that character. A face marked by time, a still impressive physique, a white suit and a well-controlled presence may actually represent the most convincing version of a star who has spent nearly 2 decades under the spotlight. Lee Min-ho once made millions of viewers dream about the perfect wealthy heir. Now, the more interesting question is no longer whether he can return to his 20s. It is this. What chapter can a mature Lee Min-ho still write in the story of Hallyu that he helped shape? If his appearance in Seoul on August 10th is any indication, the answer could be far more interesting than simply saying that he is handsome again. Because ultimately, a true icon does not need to defeat time. They only need to make time part of their appeal.